Have you ever been Hoya shopping and you're picking a Hoya up to look at it and you see something like this on the leaves? Let me show you another one. And you set it down as fast as you can and run the other way because you're like, oh my God, this Hoya has mealy bugs, I'm out of here. And you can't get away from it fast enough. I have done that a lot of times, but I think we need to take a closer look at what exactly is this crap on my Hoya's leaves. Okay, I've zoomed us in a little closer, and I'm going to do something that hopefully you've never had to do before, but you'll know if you see what I'm doing and you've had to deal with mealy bugs, and that is rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab. So if I apply this to this white stuff, it disappears. And if I examine the cotton swab, you can't see any of the little mealy bug bodies. If these had been mealy bugs, it would have turned kind of like this color, like a skin tone brown when it met the cotton swab, and you'd be able to see the little bits of the mealy bug left on the cotton swab. But that didn't happen. And there are also additionally these marks of damage on the leaf. So that also tells us something, because that's right underneath where all of that whitish weird substance was. So I don't know if you've noticed, but in my experience, a lot of times the Hoyas that I see this kind of marking on is a Hoya weyertii, like this one, Hoya kentiana, which, if I'm being honest, I can't tell the difference between a kentiana and a weyertii. And again, we'll just look at the swab and show you there's no brown. Well, that was a little piece of dirt. But a mealy bug body is bigger than this generally, and you can really just trust me on this, friends. And these are not mealy bugs that I'm killing here. And almost every time I wipe it off and there's a little injury on the leaf underneath where that white substance was. So the more I thought about it, the more I realized this is probably a direct correlation. You see an injury on a leaf and you'll see big patches of random weird white stuff. And it can look more like this a lot of times. And it can have more of a thicker, and that's the ones that look like mealy bugs when it's like a big bunch of it. So let's talk about what that is. Oh, snap. Since we know now that these are not mealy bugs and this plant is not infested, how are we going to clean it up? First of all, I'm going to use this mister. This has 2 cups of filtered water and 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide. And this is, I cut old wash rags, like, oh, seriously, old wash rags, up into little cloths like this size. And I use that to dust the leaves of my plants. And in this case, I'm just cleaning them off. And as an addition, if there were any insect infestation on these leaves, this hydrogen peroxide solution would be really excellent for those as well. So I just literally, when I get a Hoya like this with these big beautiful leaves, this is how I clean it up. One leaf at a time, my friends. I'm also doing the back sides of leaves. Some of them have this. Let me get in closer. You can see. So what exactly is this, and why on earth is it on these Hoyas? Well, the answer is that these come from the same family as milkweed. And I don't know if you knew that, but if you look at pictures of a Hoya bloom and a milkweed bloom, when you compare the blooms of a Hoya to the blooms of a milkweed, they are shaped similarly. So you can tell that they're related. Well, the reason milkweed is called milkweed is because if you break off a stem, a leaf, any part of the body of the plant, you will see a milky substance come out. Now, I don't want to do any breaking of leaves on my new Hoya, but I do have a cutting that I am willing to show you on, so I'm gonna go get that and show you. Here is a leaf from another Hoya Wearii plant that I had that was really beat up, so I feel no shame in the fact that I cut it off and removed it, and you can see that milky substance coming out. It will actually get on my finger, okay, and can be wiped off of the plant as well. So if you have milkweed growing in like your butterfly garden, the same happens. If you have a plant that has a broken stem or broken leaves on it, you will see that white sappy substance. And I'm sure I've said this before in other videos, but that's actually why milkweed plants are the only plants that monarch butterflies will lay their eggs on, because that's how monarch butterflies get to be poisonous, sucking the sap out of milkweed plants. So that's just an interesting little side fact. But we do need to support our pollinators, so maybe you need to consider planting some milkweed on the outside of your house for your butterfly populations, and you can just for yourself grow some fantastic Hoyas on the inside, because everybody needs Hoyas in their life. Well, I'm almost done getting these leaves all wiped down. Oops. And when you're doing this, you do have to be, these leaves are pretty firm. You do have to be pretty gentle, because just like I showed you that stem that had the sap coming, even if you can see where this leaf has had a little damage. If you just like bend it or crack it, because they're kind of brittle actually, that will produce that milky white sap. And so what happens is, even on leaves that haven't been damaged, they might be resting against a leaf that has been damaged, and that leaf will get sap all over itself and all of its neighbors and make kind of a really ugly mess. But also, we know that our leaf surfaces need to be cleaned so that our plants can photosynthesize to their best potential. And also, I don't like the way they look. So let me just get this all cleaned up. I will show you what it looks like when we're done. I'll be right back. All right, she's all cleaned up. Let's have a look here at these lovely little leaves. Aren't they pretty? I've got a little spot there. And I will say that sometimes just that little bit of hydrogen peroxide solution, you have to wipe down a leaf once or twice, let it dry, and see if you got it all. But I figure anything helps. Anything that gets most of that stuff off of there so our plants can do their photosynthesizing properly. But isn't she sweet? I love this planter. It was a gift. And anyway, so you don't need to be afraid of Hoyas that have that weird white stuff on their leaves. I'm not saying it's not possible for a Hoya plant to have mealybugs, because it absolutely is. But if you give it just a nice close examination and just make sure that what you're looking at is actual leaf damage and not insects, then you're safe and sound. You can take those plants home, have fun cleaning them up, and just enjoy them in your home. I'm going to take my son trick-or-treating, and I will see you real soon. Happy Halloween, everybody.